Welcome to Break Through the Ordinary. You know you desire a more impactful, connected, extraordinary life. That's why we are here to bring you stories from transformational leaders, healers, and entrepreneurs who found themselves trapped in the ordinary and are now living their most extraordinary life because of a breakthrough moment. Together, we will provide world-class tips and tools enabling you to live a life purposely, aligning your heart and soul. Because we believe no one should be imprisoned by their past. We are your hosts, Marc and Claudine Chamante, a sibling duo who transformed from an ordinary life of disconnection and loneliness to a life of purpose, love, and passion. We use our expertise, our trainings, and experience to inspire others to live an extraordinary life so they can create intimate, thriving relationships that ripple throughout the world. This podcast is only the tip of the iceberg of what is possible. If you want to dive deeper into our systems and break through the endless patterns of settling for crumbs, contact us at thebtopodcast@gmail.com.
Welcome to the Break Through the Ordinary podcast. Tonight we're going to do a conversation, two siblings at the table, a little different than our regular podcast. And we're going to talk about, people call it stress management, but we're really going to talk about how do you create balance in your life. Really important for people, especially in these times. Everybody is off kilter and balance doesn't seem to exist much. Work, relationship, kids, pleasure, freedom, hobbies, all of it.
I agree. Where can we find some harmony and wellness within ourselves and with others? I think it's like you said, it's a pivotal conversation that we get to have tonight.
So welcome. Thank you for joining us. And I'll start with, when I think of it, I think of self-care. I think of what am I doing for myself? Do I cut out time? Do I have a certain hobby, whether it's hiking or woodworking, whatever it might be, reading, meditation, but that I'm carving out time that's pleasurable, not a duty. It's pleasure. How about you?
What first comes to mind is having the awareness. As I coach and provide psychotherapy to so many people, they're not even aware that they're out of alignment. They are just up against that thing. The stress, I can't do it all, and it's overwhelming. And they're really having experiences that don't see possibility. And I agree with you. I think it is about what are we putting in, right? Like, are we putting the face mask on ourselves, like in an airplane, you putting the oxygen on yourself first? And so I think the step back is, are we being honest about it? Can we articulate it? Can we even tune into ourselves or to someone else who can be our witness, who can give us that feedback so that we can get to self-care? And I think the erosion does happen in relationships where maybe people will say, like, I notice I'm more short-tempered, being more picky than usual. I'm argumentative, or I'm just withdrawn.
Mhm.
I don't even care. Or you're right, their finances, I haven't attended to them, or, I think it shows up just differently. I'm eating more junk food, or I'm not eating at all. I'm dehydrating, or I'm drinking more. I think it doesn't always come out as I'm under stress. Some people, I think you're right, do. They're like, oh my God, I'm burnt out. I'm overwhelmed. And I think there's others that it comes in a different tuning in and a listening. And how do we get them to then tune into themselves? Because we can see it and hear it as their friend, partner, professional in their lives.
It makes me think, as in coaching, everybody needs something different, right? And when you're speaking, I'm thinking of good points, is that some people need awareness. Some people need to deal with the issues that are stopping them or preventing them from moving to the next level. Other people just need to take the step. Like, they talk about sometimes it's just, if you go to the gym, you end up with more energy, but you have no energy to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes self-care is, I have no energy for it, but if I do it,
Yep.
I have more energy. I feel better. But it's not always easy to say that, because sometimes I get pissed at, it's like, just do it. It's like, sometimes I'm stuck. I don't know why, but something is preventing me. And sometimes the work is deeper issues, as we know. Could be traumas. It could just be conditioning or whatever, that I need to work on the deeper pieces to get to the lighter pieces. And sometimes it is.
Yeah. Nicely said. I agree. I think there's a readiness of change, and everyone's at a different stage of readiness. And it's, if you're the coach or the therapist or friend, or yourself, how am I tuning into what that looks like? But there is a lot of conditionings of that's just the way it is in our family, or that's how I'm made. And it's like, okay. And how do we open up a possibility to have movement and self care even happen? I think that's the invitation. And we said it earlier, it's also the permission.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people see self care as selfish with a negative. Like I could tell you growing up, I felt like that word always was negative, like you're selfish. And now I think we're having a new level of consciousness where selfish is actually like, it's not narcissism, people. Let's just be clear. That's not what we're talking about. We're
Mm-mm.
talking about that I get to be a priority because when I'm a filled cup, I then have something to give forward. I have something to be a contribution to this world and to my family, my friends, my career, my spirituality. And I think it is that space of if we can tune in and give ourselves the permission to fill our own cup.
I mean, we could be whole,
Yeah.
That's it's like, oh yeah, I got to give, and there's only a quarter of me, so I have nothing left. As you're saying that, I start to think. I thought of just open up a book and see what passions come up, or see what you'd like to do, or I don't know. There's so many things around us, in just a gentle way. Start looking into what feels good, or ooh, I'd really like to try that, or I don't know. There's just ways of little ways. Instead of it being a push or I've got to go 100%, it's like maybe you just start looking into things you might like. Look at a magazine, look at a book, sit on the stoop outside or on the deck.
Sure.
Hey.
I know I have some clients who actually get their ideas by going on Pinterest, right? And because there is anything. So I'll often say to my clients, like, if you had all the time and all the money in the world, what would you like to do? What would you like to see? What would you like to smell? What would you like to taste? And like, like somehow they can transport themselves there. It's like, okay, so visit those vision boards, create one for yourself in Pinterest. They call 'em mood boards in Pinterest. Or go to Hobby Lobby or a place like that. It doesn't mean you're going there to buy something, but to, like you just said, be in the curiosity of, wow, there's birch here. I remember going there. I've only gone to Hobby Lobby once, and I remember I was getting a gift certificate for someone. This guy comes with these twigs of birch, long, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"What are you doing? Can I ask?" And he goes, "Oh, I make furniture." And of course, I know what that looks like, but I never thought of you go and you purchase it, right? I don't know, I had this fantasy
Mhm.
of you go out into the wilderness and you cut it down, but it's being open to it, and that in itself is an act of self care. Just to give yourself the permission to envision, dream, think of, watch is a great invitation.
Well, you said the word that I think both of us agree with. You have to live by curiosity. It is, if
Yeah.
there's any invitation to anybody, it's live a life of curiosity. I mean, I think we both hold that as a very high value, is that
Yeah.
life, be curious about it. There's so much to be curious or learn or see or that we don't know. That curiosity is actually like that child wonder, like, oh, curious, what's that? And what's this?
Mm.
And kind of spend it in that. But I also, on the other side, say, work with somebody. We all have blocks. We all have stuff that block us from taking that step or living. I think of we all tell it it's okay.
Mediocre is
Like
okay.
life, yeah.
It's okay. It's all
Life is
right.
okay. Like and not wanting to admit maybe there is something blocking us, that there's something in our way that we need to work out with somebody so that we can live
Mm.
more fulfilled, more alive, more
Yep.
that there's better than okay. I mean, we named our podcast Breakthrough the Ordinary because there's more than ordinary in life. I'm not saying that the ordinary isn't okay, but there's a level of ordinary that's living in curiosity and more alive than we call it extraordinary. But
Well, there's a few things percolating. One is I remember what Brene Brown says: in the end of your life, you'll realize that the extraordinary was the ordinary moments. And there's also a distinction between that ordinary, like the simple things of having a time with you and Nikki or seeing our mother or our father. They are nothing spectacular, but they are the extraordinary moments when
Mhm.
they add them up. But when we settle, when we tolerate, right? There's this online movement it's slow grade, but I see it. It's called "I'm fine." How you doing? I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Right? It's such a compact, neat way of being. I'm just here. Right? I'm in my little box, and don't ask any further. That's enough to just. It puts a wall up outwardly and inwardly. And I think that's what you're speaking to is like, don't settle for the I'm fine. It's okay. Because it's like a slow death. To me, it's a slow death. And I've lived in I'm fine. I've lived many years.
Especially, well, you brought up Brene Brown, and we just watched part of Atlas of the Heart, or the whole thing. I'm not sure if
Yeah. The
did
whole
we
thing.
finish it? We finished it. And there was so much language to use and so many words compared to I'm fine. Like, there's so many other ways to live or describe our lives, and
Because language will
fineness.
shape it, right?
Yeah.
And I think of the clients I have, and I think Brene spoke about it too, is when you say I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, I'm this, guess what? You are stating something, but you're also shaping yourself. You're also shaping your neurological system to be stressed. Your brain is releasing neurotransmitters to ensure you're stressed. That body then reacts, and you create the stress by even your language. I'm not saying that it wasn't there, but understand biologically, right? Your backstory, your biology, your context also creates it. So language is that powerful. But I was kind of curious as a man, and I'm not wanting to separate man woman, but from a masculine energy and being a man, do you have a way that you audit or ask yourself about what is wellness, what is balance, and what is stress management for you?
The irony is you brought the masculine, feminine, and I was going to say, because there is differences what
Sure.
women go through or how they deal, and men. For me, I played the lone wolf. I mean, I think men, we've been so programmed and so conditioned that feelings, it's not just feelings. The idea of it, or the idea is like, we have to go to battle. We have to be able to go to war. We have to protect. And men think that I can't feel or feel sad or feel, because then I won't be able to stand up. But I'm done a lot of work on myself to know that I can be both. I can be vulnerable, have feelings, and I can kill if I had to. I mean, but I want to say that men are feeling it all the time. That's what really, I feel frustration sometimes, because it's not like men aren't feeling everything that women say they feel, men are feeling. But you know how we do? We're fine.
Mm.
We are stoic. Can't go there. I have to be powerful and protective, and we think that you can't be protective and feel. And so we're going through it. And I've shared that line. Men live quiet lives of desperation, because in reality, we're just holding it inside and like dying, even in the alpha side. I mean, I played the alpha male. I played all those. There's a whole part of you that's disconnected or not living because you can't admit to it, or you think you'll be drowned in the. So for me, it's like, look, men's group, it's having a morning ritual, meditation, journaling, reading, it's exercising, it's having rituals, having a men's group, having accountability. I've realized in my life I need accountability. And being okay with feelings, like, this is where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of beating myself up, like, sometimes I have a couple days where I just feel like I'm overwhelmed or I'm exhausted or whatever, and allowing it to be, because I think it actually is healing and moves faster when you let it be. I've learned that letting go of the resistance to it is the best way I can move through and take care of myself. And then if we're talking self-care, it's also nature and hiking.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of family in the last week, and and I haven't had that time, and I can feel it. Like, okay, what are we doing for fun and wonder? Like, let's.
I agree.
I need some replenishment here. It's
It was good to see you even take a nap, because you do go. You're a 24/7. We have this gene in our family. We call it the do gene, and we got it from my mother's side, not my father's side. He's the B gene.
Yeah.
And you are, like mom and like myself, we can stay in constant motion very effectively, accomplishing, but that's an output.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to really check in with myself. and say, like, where's the input? And I think I'll use the word, there's often an imbalance. And I know when I really check in, one of the messages that is very continual is, I need play. I need play. And when I think back in my career, and I've, have certain good friends that I've met through my field, they would always be like, Claude, what I appreciate about you as a friend is that you always let me play or see the silly side of things. And I feel as I've gotten older, I'm like, where did that part of me go? And I also know that when I am in a more filled space, I can hear myself sing, be zany, make silly faces, use
Mhm.
accents. And I don't hear that in me. Like, it's usually a roommate, or recently I was staying with my mom, and she'll be like, oh my God, you really don't sing well. Or, right. And she's like, oh, you go girl, you go girl. Like,
Singing in the shower.
and it is, but that is my way of bringing joy in, because in the conditioning of our culture and family, it is about the do. My field, right? I've always been that project manager. That's how I survived our family of origin. And I'm very effective, but it's an output that's a very control energy, right? And
Mm.
that can take the near enemy of compassion. So the compassion that I don't give to myself, I end up over controlling. And then I look at the end of the day and I'm like, I didn't schedule me in, right? And yes, I too, I think we have the same rituals. And not living, I'm traveling right now, or when I'm not grounded, I find the rituals are just more catch can versus they set a pace, just like my breath.
Mhm.
Like, I exhale because I know my inhale will be there. And how to create that consistency and groundedness, even in travel, is still a place I get to grow into. Yeah, certainly noticing of that.
Yeah.
And, females tend to do a lot more in groups, right? We have the sip and paints. We go for manicures together. We go to lunches together. And they've never been my thing. Right, so I'm getting into that in my 50s. I'm kind of going, oh, okay, but it's a different socialization,
Yeah.
I think, than men have, and this need and perception again to be the caretaker, take on for the family, take on. I've got to make it right for the family, for my husband, for my kids, and right, that is not harmonious either or balanced. But right, moms, like you say, lone wolf, but moms are like, I'm a mama bear. I've got to. It's
Yeah.
like, okay. And we're living into those stories.
Yeah. I see. To me, that's stress and not harmony. There's no. It is
Yeah.
definitely stress that do, and I mean, so it is a constant looking for fun and wonder, adventure. For me, it's adventure,
Yeah.
making things fun.
Hmm.
Because that's my thing. Like you said, your friends bring those. I always try and make things fun or have some, even in the simpler things, just try to bring some fun or adventure to it because that's what turns me on. That's what makes me happy.
Sure. I will say one of the areas that I think I've tapped into more as I've gotten older, though nature is my biggest source of wonder and fulfillment, is a deepening of spiritual practices have also, it's not like, I'm not saying that they're, it's not about the stress management from that perspective, but it's a grounded well. It's a plugging into an energy that is greater than myself, and that is filling. I have certain rituals and practices that I've embodied from some of the journeys I've been on, and when I am brought to those positions, physical, their positions, I could tap right in, and in that moment, there isn't anything but that soft hum
Mm.
in my body and in my spirit. And that too has a way of bringing harmony
Mm.
back to for my system.
Well, when you say that, I think of presence. Like, I think when I look at my rich, it's really just to be present. And that if I start my day in that presence, that I haven't spent the day away from myself or disconnected. I've already,
Mm.
at least I've created some presence. I've had some part of presence during my day, which always makes my day better because I know the rare times I miss it, I can feel a completely different day. There's something not the same. So for me, it's and to me, we're talking about balances. the more I can be present, the more there's harmony and balance to me in life. The more I can be present, because then I'm filled more by whatever's happening. Otherwise, I'm going through the motions and I'm never getting filled. It's like having a hole in the bottom of the cup. Keep filling it up. It's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
Not going anywhere.
And I appreciate you bringing the word presence. And, I'm often in helping, or I'm not helping, but people generate their own ideas and meditation, or, we know things like yoga, which is really meditation in positions, or walking. These are meditative practices. And I always say to people, like, mindfulness is not about being a monk in a cave. It's the invitation to come back to this moment. Oh, there's the dry cleaning. I have to cook dinner, and then back to this moment. There's no right way to do it. And that's the invitation I would say to everyone is, when you check in this moment, what do I need? What do I appreciate about this moment? Because I also think one of the rituals is gratitude.
Absolutely.
And gratitude can bring us back into a full cup. And yes, there may be days when it's the smallest little flower, and it could be the sunshine or rain like we had this week. And there's days where it's the gift of life, or that smile, that hug. So I think there's, again, it goes back to the ordinary and the extraordinary. There's gratitude for the ordinary, and there's the magnificence of a beautiful sunset. Like, however, in the range of those things, bringing mindfulness into, presence and gratitude, I think are such wonderful practices for people.
Yeah, I didn't mention it, but I do breath and gratitude in the morning too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a reminder all day. You said simple things. I think, what I think of is I don't really have a green thumb, but for my birthday last year, a friend gave me this baby orchid, and it sits on the windowsill in front of the sink. And it's the only thing I've grown that's lasted. But the joy and the presence and the gratitude, like that little thing is growing on my thing. I put a little drip from my fingers of water every day, and it's like, wow, like the wonder that, oh my God, it's still growing. I
am impressed, because I've been given those, and even bigger. They don't last, except like they do. And the fact that you've had it over a year, and it's tiny, like, just so people understand, it truly is about 2 inches big of a holder. But yet you have 3 blooms that are gorgeous on it right now. And that to me is the extraordinary and the ordinary. It's and that's the invitation. If anyone's listening, that they have this place to tune in, right? It's about that attunement. Where am I in alignment? Where am I not? What can I add? What do I get to be? Right? Understanding language, shapes us. Our neurological system, our spiritual, our physical, our mental, all get to be, in harmony with ourselves. And however you do that is give yourself permission to live in that space of curiosity, to play.
Yep. And we know for our own work with people and therapists and coaches that sometimes you need a coach help you work through those places that are preventing you from having that life or living in that presence, actually. Because it's usually the emotions or the traumas or whatever that keep us from that presence, so that you can be fulfilled by the simple things.
Sure.
Because I know when I work with people, presence is my thing. They can feel that presence like, boom, it's right there. And when you have that, life feels different. It also feels safer. So,
yeah. And it's about connection, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're in presence, then you can be in connection to someone else in that presence.
Yeah.
So when people come and we're like, it's the relationship, and right? And then you start to really scratch the surface, you realize, right, if 2 people are coming to the relationship or to an evening and they both don't have the bandwidth, or their cups are empty, you can't generate from that space. You can't generate presence, love, intimacy, connection. And so really, we get to stop and fill ourselves up, right? Go back to the selfishness, right? Water ourselves first in whatever way that looks. Yeah. So
this was great.
I agree.
Thank you for joining us on our first podcast, doing it just the 2 of us. We're going to do more of these for sure.
And follow us on the BTO podcast on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook. We always have. We drop a new episode every Monday.
Yeah.
I hope there's some wisdom you got here. And one thing I want to add, laugh.
Yeah.
Laugh,
play.
Laugh.
And if you want more help from us or anything, you can reach out and we'll respond.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Our intention is that you take these tools to break through any limitation holding you back from living your extraordinary life. If you would like to learn more about our group and individual coaching, contact us at thebtopodcast@gmail.com. Please support us and the podcast by following us and leaving a rating or review. To catch all the latest, follow us at the BTO Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.